Hey, BookTube, Sean here, just coming to you with my first weekly wrap-up video. This is just going to be a quick catch-up. I wanted to get this up Saturday or Sunday, but was having a bit of a migraine and the time I had available to film both those days. So just want to do a real quick catch-up. I'm not even going to do a whole lot of editing on this video because I just really don't got the time to do it today. So let's get into it. I finished 2 books this week, both of them actually on Friday night. I had a lot of time to read Friday night. And I finished, Caliban's War by James S.A. Corey. It's the second book in the Expanse series. And I don't think it was quite as good as the first book. The first book we follow 2 perspectives, Holden and Miller. And in the second book, we end up following 4 perspectives. That of Holden, and then 3 new characters introduced in this book. And it wasn't engaging me as much as the first book, because the first book had this kind of mystery detective element to it too, and the second book didn't have as much of that, if at all. It was definitely a little bit more military SF in a lot of spots. But the end of the book, just the last 2 lines of the book, made me want to go right into the third book. So I'll probably be picking up the third book very shortly. The other book I finished was The Last Wish by Andrzej Sapkowski. And that is the first book of prelude short stories to the Witcher series. And I enjoyed it. I thought it was really good. I didn't like some of the stories as much as others. The stories themselves, at least in this book, I don't know if this continues into the second book of short stories. Kind of had a very fairy tale-ish feel to me, which I thought was kind of interesting. So all in all, I did really enjoy the book, and I would definitely recommend it. I'm kind of curious to get into the next book of short stories and eventually see how that leads into the actual series. Other books I worked on this week, I read some more of The Deep. Not a whole lot more. I didn't get a whole lot further into that. The Deep by Nick Cutter. But I am getting to the point in that one where I'm not going to want to put it down pretty soon. It's a horror novel, and it's got really short chapters, so I've kind of that and all the light we cannot see, I've been treating kind of as books to read when I don't have a whole lot of time to read, because both of them have very short sections or chapters that if I only have 10 or 15 minutes, I can get through 1 or 2 sections of the book. I also got a little bit further into Public Library by Allie Smith. And yeah, there it is. This one, I only got just a couple of short stories left in this one. I'll probably finish this one up this week. I also started The Obelisk Gate by N.K. Jemisin. And the third book doesn't come out as early in August as I thought it did. I thought it came out August 5th, and it comes out August 15th. I had the 5 right, just there's a 1 before it. So I'm not going to rush this one. As long as I get through it by the time the next book comes out, so I can start the next book when I get it, I'll be happy with that. So I'm not going to push myself on this one this month. I'll read it throughout the time, and I'll get it finished by the time the third book comes out on August 15th. I was also reading Keeper by Andrea Gillies. This is a nonfiction book. This is part of that Welcome Prize thing that Kitty G and Elena are doing that I talked about in my July TBR. And this is a book about Andrea Gillies' time caring for her mother-in-law with Alzheimer's and dementia. And that's pretty much what I read yesterday. I got close to 100 pages into this yesterday. It's really interesting, and it's got I have a kind of personal connection to it too, because my grandfather had Alzheimer's, and so it is very interesting to me to learn more about the disease that he struggled with and had a hand in his passing. So that's very interesting to me. I'm really enjoying this one so far. And I also read, got a little bit further into Royal Assassin by Robin Hobbs, the second book in the Farseer trilogy. And I think I'm getting close to the point in that where it's going to start getting really good, and I'm not going to want to put that one down either. Those are the books that I'll be continuing to read throughout this week. I'll probably finish The Deep and Public Library this week, I'm thinking, at least. If not Royal Assassin 2, because I think that's going to start getting, just depends on how much time I end up to read with. I didn't end up over the 4th of July holiday with as much time to read as I was hoping I would have. Excuse me. And that's why I only got 2 of my in-process books finished. I was hoping to have more time, and then over the weekend with the migraine, I didn't get as much reading done as I wanted to either. And but hopefully I'll get a couple of those finished up this week so that I'm ready to start The Name of the Wind by Patrick Rothfuss and my buddy Read with Elliot Brooks next week. I think that's when we're starting that. Other books I'd like to get to soon, and probably after I get through the buddy Read with Elliot. I'd like to get, this is one I've been wanting to get to for a while since I picked it up on the freebies table at Confusion Con. The Warded Man is the first book in the Demon Cycle by Peter V. Brett. Been really interested in getting into that. Promise of Blood by Brian McClellan I'd like to get into in the next, few weeks at least. I kind of made the decision I kind of want to put some focus on my fantasy, my Reddit fantasy bingo. I want to knock some of that out in the next at least probably month or so. I'm going to have a lot of time to myself in August. My wife is out of town for several weeks, in like 3 out of 5 weeks in August she's out of town for. So I'm going to have a lot of time to myself to read in August. So hopefully I can get a lot of stuff knocked out in August. But outside of some nonfiction stuff, though, like the Welcome Prize stuff and a true crime book that I want to get to in August, probably going to be focusing mostly on science fiction and fantasy for at least another month and a half. It's just kind of where my mindset is at right now too, and I picked up a ton of SSF books this year since January. I went to Confusion Con in January here in Michigan, and it is a science fiction fantasy based literature based con. That's their focus is science fiction fantasy literature, and it got me really inspired to really in the mood for that, and I just picked up a ton of SFF this year, so I have a lot of that to read. So it's like I said, outside of some horror, a little bit of horror and some nonfiction, I'll probably be focusing on that for a little while. Couple books I picked up this week I got in the mail from Book Depository. One was this Keeper, the Alzheimer's book that I mentioned a little bit ago, and the other one was The Essex Serpent by Sarah Perry. And I've heard several booktubers just rave about this book, so I'm really, really excited to get into this soon. And that's pretty much it. That's just a really quick, rambling week in review. Like I said, I didn't want to do a whole lot of editing on this because I don't really have the time, so I apologize for not throwing in book covers of the digital books, the ones I don't have physical copies for. Like I said, I just don't have a whole lot of time to edit, and my program has been crashing and really pissing me off lately. So I'm going to try to do some videos with that don't need any editing or very minimal editing. So that's it. If you've read any of this, as always, let me know. Let me know what you're reading. It doesn't have to be any of this. If you're reading something different and you're excited about it, let me know in the comments. If you like this, give it a like, hit subscribe to everybody who's subscribed so far. I hit 60 subscribers yesterday, and I'm really excited about that. So thank you, everyone who has subscribed. And if you're hitting the subscribe button right now, thank you as well. That's it for me today, and I'll see you all in my next video.